All
Two,
right,
three.
okay.
Hi, everyone. So, thank you for coming to another episode. Today, we'll be talking about this presentation I came across from data silos to research bridges, governance tools, and community building in the Bridge Data Governance Projects. I'm with my friend, Miss Winifred, and she's absolutely new to this topic. So, that's why I brought her here so we can get her perspectives and views. This is actually the second video we're making. We unfortunately did not turn on the recording button. So, um, okay.
Okay.
So, do you want to go?
All right, ethical data governance. Okay, all right. Why
Why
NeuroData governance matters now. Okay, you can read it, it's fine.
neuroscience is increasingly data intensive and collaborative. Neurodata is often highly sensitive, inferential, and reusable. Hmm. Global neuroscience depends on cross-border data exchange, yet governance remains fragmented, uneven, and siloed. The ethical question is, how do we scale neuroscience responsibly? Right? So what do you think neurodata is about?
Yeah, so I think maybe because we had this conversation earlier from the
Yeah.
previous year. So you were just talking about neurodata is more of like data that comes from people's behavior
Okay.
and because whether we agree or not, the phones we use, like it takes a lot of data. It observes our behavior on the internet. What are we doing all through the day? What are the things that we're interested in doing? And of course, sometimes it even brings ads that link towards. Sometimes it feels like, oh, you were just thinking about this and then this ad came up on your phone when you were just thinking about that. So I think it's that intelligence where your data is used to predict your behavior or whatever could what they call it, however you think or whatever is your psychology. That's what we I got to understand from the earlier conversation about what neurodata.
Yeah.
So yeah, neurodata governance, yeah, it does. Now that's why I was saying the last time we spoke that with repetition, things start becoming more clear.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're literally watching it happen right now.
Yes, yeah. So
We're
it's
literally
becoming
watching it
clearer
right
to
now.
me right now.
Yeah. So the
Mm-hmm.
problem is that neurodata currently remains siloed. So we have technical silos of incompatible platforms, metadata standards. They also have the institutional silos, differing rules, ethics processes, contracts, relational silos about mistrust, extractive partnerships, unequal participation. So the challenge is not just moving data; it's moving trust. Because when these things were created, like we didn't think that far to say, okay, we would want down the line want to share this data with other people. But now that we have reached that point, I think there was an example I used, like the numbering system. So like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
so let's go to the next one. What is the Bridge Data Governance Project? So this project aims to transform fragmented neuroscience initiatives into an interconnected network that is grounded in equitable data sharing, collaborative governance, interdisciplinary design, right-sensitive stewardship, and global partnership building. So what do you think about this?
Governance as infrastructure, not an afterthought. Okay, what I think I understand is that the idea of the bridge data project is just to be able to, instead of using, instead of using all those datas for, of course, for useless activities, or let's say for unethical things, we could actually use this neural data into, creating something that collaborative governance, interdisciplinary design, something that could be useful to the
Yeah,
society. That's what I
yeah.
understand, though.
Right. So the tools that they divided it into, they have the legal tools, ethical principles, technical infrastructure, and community co-design. So their goal is to create a practical, scalable, and trustworthy framework for neurodata sharing across institutions and jurisdictions. So the ones that if you want to share NeuroData with an institution, you can literally get the framework and say, this is what we're doing. Like now, if you want to sew a dress, a tailor will get a framework and say, this is the measurements I need, right? Then you guys can exchange. So they want to get that measurement or framework system. If you want to build a car, you're going to get the architecture of a car. What does a car want? So that initial one, the first framework, that's what they are building. So if anybody wants to like exchange neuro data across institutions, persons, places, countries, this is the design that they are doing.
Okay.
You want to take
Operationalizing
this?
governance, practical legal toolkit, integrated components, comparative legal analysis across jurisdictions, scientist-facing governance workflows, transfer and access governance tools, community co-design and interoperable implementation. Not so clear to me.
Mm.
Practical legal toolkit.
So I think the components that they are
Mhm.
using, they are comparing legal laws across places. So they are comparing what are the laws in this continent, what are the laws in this other continents. They are also making sure that scientists are involved in the process. So they are not just in the lab, then the law is given to them. They are actually involved in the process of making these laws. Then the transfer and access governance tools. So they are able to use, I think, governance tools across countries and also transfer them. Then it does get better though. Ugh, there are core two elements. We read this earlier, but now I actually just feel exhausted trying to read them.
Do you want
Um,
me to read it for you? Third, tiered NeuroData risk classification framework classifies neurodata by functional exposure and risk. Scientists facing risk tier assignment tool supports consistent practical tier assignment. Neural derivative and embedding governance protocol reassesses transformed derivative and model linked neurodata. NeuroTAIA evaluates transfer and access pathways before cross-border sharing. Modular MDTAA translates governance conditions into enforceable contractual obligations. EZGov, emerging digital implementation layer, future platform for structured workflow operationalization.
yeah, I think that's like the software they want to build so that
Okay,
if you want to transfer neural data, you can actually use a software to do it
okay.
that aligns with all these things. Yep. So from compliance to relational governance. So compliance is necessary but not sufficient. A project can be legally compliant and still be ethically problematic. So
Mm.
relational governance, that's like you're not just creating the laws on your own. You're asking who shapes the rules, who controls the downstream use, who benefits from sharing, who is included in stewardship. Bridge uses a multi-level governance framework, which has four governance levels. The participant level, which has to do with consent, transparency, privacy rights. The institutional level, which has to do with ethics, review, stewardship, access processes. Cross-border legal. I think when things are being created, right, you could
Mm-hmm.
do a top-bottom approach or like a bottom-up approach. But I think their approach they're trying to do like intersectional level approach. So
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
how when something happens, you can either say, okay, let's speak to the people involved, or let's speak to the leader, the team leader, who is the manager or whatever. I think their
Mm-hmm.
framework involves you using people from all the levels. So from the ground worker to whoever is C-suite, or like from the regular civilian to whoever is president, or whatever that might like a regular community member to the community chief lead. So whatever is involved in that level.
Okay.
I think you want to take this.
Okay, building bridges across regions and disciplines. Bridge has engaged collaborators across Africa, Europe, North America, Latin America, and the Caribbean. Co-design helps surface differing legal assumptions, institutional constraints, capacity gaps, language and risk framing differences, hidden power asymmetries. Governance should be shared, not exported. Okay, so I think we spoke about this earlier about the governance thing, like, let it be something that everyone shares across the whole continent in the world, because of course the internet, it's a global thing, whether you want to agree with it or not. So I think that if all like I think they're just trying to say that if all these continents, like all the countries, come together and we agree that okay, this is what the governance should look like. I don't know, that's how I understand it though.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Regardless of the
Yeah.
languages, like, in as much like languages are different, um legal stuff are also different in different countries. So that's just how I understand that if
Yeah, and then even as we're looking at these
all
different laws, we
design.
can compare it with our own. Like, you know how you go to a place and then you see something nice, and then you come back home and you're like, you know what? I should reorganize this the kind of way like that. Like, this will be
Mm-hmm,
better.
hmm.
So I think that's what
Yeah.
they're speaking about here. You
Mhm.
can see the institutional differences.
Yeah.
So the key challenges in building research bridges. The first one is regulatory pluralism, as I think each institution has its own way of running its regulations. So different privacy laws, different ethics expectations, different institutional cultures, then power asymmetries. So they have infrastructure gaps, analytic capacity disparities, unequal influence over governance norms. Then we also have interoperability without ethical erosion. So technical interoperability is not equal to ethical interoperability. Remember the thing we said, because the technology exists does not mean it is ethically right to use it. Because you can turn on your camera and make a video of whatever does not mean you should invade people's privacies. Because you can post whatever does not mean you should like I don't know. Let's
I get your
be
point. I understand
yeah, have
100% because
morals.
AI can do some. Okay, let's say AI can plan a robbery. Doesn't mean that you need to sit down and
Use
start,
AI to plan a
planning
robbery.
robbery. Yes, no, yeah.
Um, so this is not just a neuroethics issue. It's a neuroethics issue, not just a data management issue. Because you could say, oh, it's for the technical industry, or it's a tech problem, or it's their problem, it's not my problem. Or it's
Yeah,
actually everybody's problem. Because
yeah.
it's touches the privacy, people's privacies, people's the justice system, like how the laws are being set.
Mhm.
If we do not include this in the way the laws are being set, you laws, policies will come out, and then people are like, this is not like this doesn't work for us. Who are these laws for? Do you understand? Then we
Mm-hmm.
have identity issues because people don't know how to build it. Sure. Autonomy and trusts. What do you think? What are your perspectives?
I think that they're just trying to say that why this is a neuroethics issue, not just a data management issue. I'm thinking that to me, I feel that it's more of a people problem also, and people being ethical in how they are managing things on the internet. I'm just thinking that, for example, I don't know, I just kind of global
You are right. I feel like a
visibility.
lot of
Okay,
things are intuitive. You don't have to trust. Just keep on trusting. You're building to a story. Keep going.
okay. So I'm just thinking that it's not just this neurotics is maybe I think wait. Well, I'm thinking that they're just trying to say that everyone has to come together, to do this. It's
Yeah.
not just how do you manage the data and all of that, but probably, letting people understand that everyone, as you are as a person too, you could, create that community that we're dreaming
Yeah.
about. That's what's
And
what I
the first
understand.
thing is just being aware, like what we're doing, exposing ourselves to this information to know that this exists. This is something that is happening. And then with whatever we continue doing with with time, we'll just do with more intention, like we're conscious that these are patterns that are happening around us and we should pay
Yeah.
attention. I think
Yeah.
awareness is always the first step to everything.
Yeah, of course, yes.
Yeah. So the conclusion bridge shows that the future of neurodata sharing requires moving from data silos to research bridge again, moving from compliance to relational governance. So instead of just sitting up and making laws, you actually involve people on different institutional levels in the lawmaking process. Moving from isolated agreements to shared stewardship. So actually having two or three people like having real involvement, moving from technical operability to ethical interoperability. So, because the technology can be created or exist, does not mean it's ethically right. So, we've come to the end again of this video.
And I hope we
Thank you
recorded it.
so, so much for like picking out of your time to
Yeah, okay, that's
join me
okay.
and
Yeah,
access
that's
this.
okay. Mm-hmm.
I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.